Hey everyone, this is Renee Frey from Talent Q, and you're listening to the Conscious Professional Podcast. More people than ever want to be happy in their career and personal life, but they're going about it all wrong. I'm here to set the record straight and emphasize the importance of prioritizing your mindset. I am thrilled you're here. Have you ever been sitting at a restaurant and you're not sure if you should get the hanger steak tacos or the hanger steak bowl? How do you go about making a decision for what you're going to eat? The good news is that you only have a certain amount of time to decide because the server will eventually be back to take your order. So it is a barrier of time that's pushing you to decide. There's a deadline in front of you. What about other times in your life when you're indecisive? What is holding you back from making a damn decision? There's most definitely something there holding you back from making a decision, and I'm going to help you figure it out in this episode. Because today we're talking about indecisiveness. Why does it pop up? Why do we feel equipped to make some decisions quickly while other times we can't seem to make up our minds? I always joke with people, if it's Friday night and we are deciding on a place to meet for a drink or for dinner, I will usually be the first one to say, you pick, because I have decision fatigue. I manage a small business, so during the week, I make decision after decision after decision. And by the time Friday rolls around, I'm done. I've reached my cap of making decisions, which is why I call it decision fatigue. I'm done. Someone else can make some decisions at the end of the week, okay? Did you know each and every decision we make depletes a little bit of our mental energy? And that's why decision fatigue is a real thing. Studies show that our brains use glucose for processing decisions. So the more decisions we make, the more our energy and focus are taxed, even leading sometimes to physical fatigue. This can result in poorer decision making as the day goes on. And this is why sometimes we find it harder to make thoughtful decisions at the end of the day. Like me, on Friday night, I'm donezo, done making decisions. Scientifically, the best time to make your bigger decisions would be earlier in your day. You know what else we have in our lives to muck this all up? All of our constant notifications on our cell phones, on our computers, all of these choices. Should I open up Facebook? Should I go to WhatsApp? Should I look at TikTok? Look at my email? All these choices make it easy to fall into decision fatigue. With endless emails, notifications, social media feeds, and work-home overlap, people face an unprecedented amount of decision making. When you are aware of this, you may now notice why you feel so drained, even if you're not making big decisions. When our brains are constantly bombarded with decisions, even teeny tiny ones like deciding what to eat or deciding what you're going to wear today, it creates mental clutter. And over time, this can lead to what's called cognitive overload, where it's harder to concentrate and think critically. Decision fatigue doesn't only happen with work. Even choices you have to make in your personal life contribute to it, which is why simplifying decisions across the board will lead you to a clearer, more focused mind. We can combat decision fatigue just like the uber successful people. They create routines for small daily decisions. So, for example, for me, I lay out my workout clothes for the next day before I go to bed. I meal plan on Sundays. I'm planning and cooking the meals I need for the entire work week. Every morning, I have a nutritious protein shake after my workout. So I portion them all into baggies. I portion every single day up for the week too. And that saves me on making decisions. In addition, saves me loads of time. Steve Jobs and Mark Zuckerberg famously limited their wardrobe choices, if you remember hearing about this. So they reduced decisions so they could focus their mental energy on more significant areas. I don't do that, as I've discovered what I want to wear each day is based on my mood and how I'm feeling in the morning when I'm picking out my outfit. Now, if I have a speaking event, I usually plan out my outfit in advance, but day to day, I like to choose the outfit in the moment because of the weather and my mood. I'd like you to reflect on whether you've experienced decision fatigue and where you notice it most in your life. Are there certain times of the day when decisions feel more exhausting? Is it at work? Is it at home? In the morning, afternoon, evening? Do you ever feel like you make worse choices by the end of the day? When you have awareness of your habits, it could lead to a personal growth breakthrough so that you can figure out the best time of day when you have the most energy to make the most effective decisions. We've all been there, right? Sitting in that stuck space, unsure of what to do next. And often we think we're just waiting to make the right choice. But really, I'm going to call a spade a spade. Indecisiveness is just another way we procrastinate as human beings. When we're indecisive, we're usually putting things off because we're afraid of something. Maybe it's fear of making the wrong choice, fear of what people might think, or just plain overwhelm. We could have fear of missing out, fear of not meeting expectations, or fear of unknowns. It's like our brain goes, let's avoid this decision for as long as possible so we don't mess it up. But all that's doing is creating stress in your life and dragging things out. How do we then get ourselves to take action and make a damn decision? First of all, when I work with my clients, I'm always asking them, is this a decision you actually need to make? Or is it something that truly doesn't matter and you can just let it go? Take it off your to-do list. That's the first step. Complete awareness and assessment. Does this actual decision you've been putting off need to be made? Or can we pull an Elsa and just let it go? Let it go. I know I have an awful voice. I have an example I can share, like going through your dreaded email inbox. Do you really need to sit and organize and sift through emails that are 3 years old? Or can you let that go and choose a better way to organize your emails from this point on and delete all those ones that are 3 years old? If it's a decision that needs to be made, then I recommend you simplify your choices. Sometimes we as human beings, we overcomplicate things by giving ourselves way too many options. Try narrowing it down. Just focus on one or two that really feel doable, that align with your goals. You don't need to find the perfect option, just one that works for you. Remember, there's no such thing as failure. Change your brain to see failure as simply learning. If something doesn't go the way you expected, what you certainly got out of it was that something either worked or it didn't work. So don't beat yourself up about something that didn't work. Just get back to work and try something else. Keep putting one foot in front of the other. I can share an example from my life. As I was doing some live training launches to sell my focus program on how to land a new job fast. And we had sales after every free training that I hosted. Then we made some changes and the last 2 launches were total zeros. Just because we didn't sell anything doesn't mean I'm a failure and I'm just going to throw my hands up. It just means that some of the things we changed didn't resonate with the attendees, or we didn't have the right people at the training. That's it. But because we are human, we want to label and cut ourselves down. In my personal growth, I am so beyond labeling and cutting myself down. I look at it without emotion and ego, and I call a spade a spade. In my launch example, we didn't have sales, so we need to change it up again and get a different audience. Sounds simple, right? I don't need to get all wrapped up in it and start spewing stories and drama as to why the last 2 launches didn't go as planned. Another good trick to get you into decision-making mode is to make a good old-fashioned pros and cons list. We all learned this in elementary school, right? How to flush things out. It sounds so simple, but listing out the pros and the cons really helps put things into perspective. Sometimes just seeing things on paper makes the choice a lot clearer. You could also set a deadline for yourself. Going back to ordering at a restaurant, when you have a set time that server is going to come back and take your order, similar to that, give yourself a deadline to make the decision. You don't need to decide in this second, but give yourself a time limit. This stops you from overthinking and makes sure you actually make a choice instead of letting things drag on. Now, here's where it gets interesting. We don't just want to use logic in decision making, so I encourage you to bring in your feelings and your intuition. You were given emotions for a reason. Remember, every emotion exists for a reason, and it indicates an imbalance or functions as a warning sign or that you need to pay attention. You need to give your emotions the space to play out and express themselves instead of denying them and stuffing them down or ignoring them. Now, this is way easier said than done. I know this firsthand because for the first 3 decades of my life, I would stuff down and ignore my emotions. What a bunch of missed opportunity. Now, I've forgiven myself as I was doing the best that I could at that time with the tools that I had. And as I've learned more about emotions and allowed myself to feel them, at first it's really intense, almost felt unbearable and impossible because they felt so big and sometimes really painful. I'll tell you something though, emotions will not kill you. It's a feeling and it will go away. Emotions are temporary. I have learned now to feel all my emotions, and what an incredible gift it has been. If you meditate or practice mindfulness, that will help you feeling your emotions. Your emotions are the connection to your soul, and your soul knows what's good for you. Maybe some of you are really tapped into your intuition. If you are, bravo, that is incredible. Intuition and emotions are completely different. Intuition is deep knowing or that gut feeling that guides you towards a decision without relying on conscious reasoning or logic. Intuitive insights often come through as feelings, hunches, or images. These are often physical sensations like a sense of excitement or calm when something feels right, or discomfort and hesitation when it feels off. This is why intuition is often described as a gut feeling. This year, one of the areas that I've put my attention on growing for myself is being in tune with my intuition. If you're not in tune with your intuition, I can share some tools that I use so you can help recognize that quiet whisper. A technique I learned from Sonia Coquette. It's called clearing out the garbage. What you do is you sit down and you look around your room, the room that you're in, and you name 3 things you see. Perhaps you're feeling the fabric on the chair of the arm you're sitting in. You notice the pattern that's on the fabric on the chair. You see the glass table next to you and you touch the smooth glass. Naming 3 things that you see in detail gets you in the present moment. Next, you'll take 2 deep breaths, inhaling through your nose and exhaling out your mouth. And when you inhale, I want you to feel your belly rise, not your shoulders. And when you exhale, you're going to pretend you're blowing out candles. So your lips are going to be closer together, like blowing out all that air. So you're going to do that deep breathing 2 times. And then on your 3rd breath, you're going to go down the slide. You're going to breathe into your nose, filling your belly. And when you exhale, you're going to open your mouth wide and sigh out the breath. So you're going to go, ah. Then put your tongue on the roof of your mouth and close your eyes. Place your hand over your heart. Then you will say 3 things out loud. First, you will say, my question is, and that's when I want you to ask your question that you want an answer to. Second thing you're going to say is, my heart says, and you're going to see how you feel. And last, you ask, does this feel true? Then you can open your eyes. What comes up for you will be your intuition. Now, if nothing comes up, just keep practicing this. It takes time to feel your intuition for sure. You may feel something, but it's so different and unusual that you might not notice it or you'll discount it at first. So just play around with this. Intuition isn't some mystical force. It's part of how our brains work, and it can be strengthened. So practices like mindfulness, meditation, or simply tuning into bodily sensations and inner thoughts can help us become more attuned to our intuitive signals. Now, I have another technique you can try, and this helps feel what your mind and body is saying. I learned this from Keith Cunningham. You'll grab a journal and sit down in a quiet room and begin to ask yourself questions. Write down a question in your journal and then just free write and see what answers pop up. Maybe nothing will pop up. Maybe you'll fill out the entire page. Or you'll begin to hear that quiet whisper and you can write what the whisper is saying. Sometimes the quiet whisper isn't logical, but what would happen if you just tried what it said? Magic might unfold for you. I believe we are always being guided as we are right where we're supposed to be. Life is happening for all of us. Making decisions isn't about logic or checking the boxes. It's also about what feels right for you. Tune into your gut. Ask yourself how each option makes you feel. And think about how each one aligns with what you genuinely want. When you bring your emotions into it, you'll end up with a decision that makes sense and feels so good. There you have it. Simplify, make that pro-con list, set a deadline, and listen to what you're feeling. With these steps, you'll get better at making decisions that you'll feel good about. And let's face it, feeling good about a decision is half the battle. I challenge you to take one of the techniques you learned today, take action, implement it, and try it out. When you do, I'd love to hear how it goes. So head over to our YouTube channel and leave a comment on this episode. I am also super excited to announce the launch of my new masterclass, Foundation for Limitless Living. This masterclass is designed for anyone ready to break through limitations and create a life that feels fulfilling and balanced both personally and professionally. Throughout the masterclass, we'll dive deep into strategies for building habits, shifting mindsets, and learning practical tools that will empower you to show up fully in every area of your life. I encourage you to join the waitlist to be the first to secure your spot. It's going to be an incredible journey of insights, growth, and support from a like-minded community. You won't want to miss it. I'll drop the link in the show notes. So the key points from today's episode are: trust your intuition to guide you towards more fulfilling decisions. Simplify your daily choices to prevent mental burnout. Set deadlines and journal to keep overthinking in check. Thank you so much for listening, everyone. Share this episode with someone you love and go make one change to be better than you were yesterday. Live your life with intention. I believe in you. I'm on a mission to help as many people as possible. So if you would, please hit the follow button so we can grow our community of conscious professionals. Whether you're listening on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, you can find the button at the top of the page. See you next week. Cheers, everyone.